We are live. Welcome to the Window to Our Minds pod number 6. How are you, Gray?
I'm doing amazing, even though I'm fumbling for the unmute button. But other than that, I'm doing good. It's always awesome to be here. How about yourself? How you doing, Multi?
I'm doing good. My computer is potato, so I will pass the mic to
I
Cole,
hear ya.
and I think you feel me. How are you, Cole?
Pretty good. And also, yeah, my computer was like committing suicide. So sorry, I mean committing suicide in
Self-deletion.
Minecraft. Yeah, in Minecraft today. YouTube. So I just bought like that CC cleaner thing, and now it's been working well ever since because apparently there were some drivers that were outdated, so I fixed that. But yeah, I've been doing good today. I am tired though. For some reason, for the last like 3 weeks, ever since I quit that thing I was talking about to you in DMs before multi, I've just felt very tired. I think it's like insomnia or something. So I'll try to fix that. But yeah, pretty good so far.
Perfect. And what about you, DC? How are you?
Uh, Kind of rough. It's been kind of tough, but yeah.
Things happens. I hope things will get better. Um, so today we got the artificial intelligence as a topic. Unfortunately, my coworker that was supposed to come had another emergency. That's the second time, so I don't know how much of an emergency that was, but let's give the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, um, I guess we can get right into it with the first question. In what ways artificial intelligence can be used? Starting with Cole.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty loaded question, honestly. Well, first I have to ask: Are we talking about like AI in general, or
All
like
of
our
them.
specific? Okay,
All of
well,
them.
yeah.
Like
I mean that's
all of
pretty
them.
loaded. Yeah, I mean it can be used for. I mean, loads of things you can think of. Like the question though. I mean, sorry. I mean, really the answer though to this, truthfully, is we don't know exactly yet because it's still in the early stages and we don't know like what the potential is or how many things like a lot of people could say like sky's the limit with this in the future, but we eventually hit a brick wall eventually with these things in the past, just like other technology. So we'll see. But I mean, for just examples, like obviously there's like that chat GPT thing, and then there's just like robot AI to try to help them with like navigation and other things. FYI, how Terminator will be in real life, but yeah, that's about it.
Coming next, Gray, what would be your response to the first question? In what ways can artificial intelligence be used?
I would say, like, as Colt's mentioning, so far we don't know quite the limit, but it seems like many small, very repetitive tasks seem to be, perfect for this type of deal right now. I don't know exactly where the limit would be, but I don't know. There's just so many current applications. Cole mentioned like Chat GPT. There's AI art. There's just so many ways that it can kind of add to stuff. But even something as simple as like just programs within programs, like AI like background removal for like photography, or there's ways that AI can kind of help you just edit videos. I've messed around with it a couple times. It doesn't seem to be as artistic as I'd like it to be, but hell, if you're just like trimming the start and end off of clips and then putting them together, it seems like that would save you a lot of time. Just simple tasks like that. And you mentioned like Chat GPT. Well, I don't know. There's kind of an even more rudimentary AI than that. It's kind of, well, fair enough. There's fun things that you could do with ChatGPT that I think wouldn't be creating an entire thing, but kind of like spell check, but it goes one step beyond that. It can help you kind of reword it to make it a little bit clearer. I know I've thrown a couple of emails that I did not understand what the hell it was saying into ChatGPT, and it kind of told me what the hell it's saying. And then I've had it help me with wording a couple different times. There's a lot of weird skills that we're probably going to lose, and it will probably make us worse for that. But I don't know, like how many people suck at spelling now, but there's spell check on everything. It's kind of a trade-off, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of these weird little repetitive tasks that I don't know that we're necessarily going to be doing in the future. That it seems like we have ways of kind of taking care of that for now, which seems like
Yeah,
it
and it's
could be
interesting
cool
you
up
brought
until
that up,
Skynet
though.
gets running.
Oh fuck. Yeah, it's interesting though because that's kind of the case with like pencils or pens, like writing now. It's like so many people, kind of, and myself
Mhm.
included, it's like kind of lost that skill almost. It's like we're so used to now typing.
Yeah.
For sure. And I feel like an idiot every time I'm like handwriting a letter. It's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I don't know how to spell. Let me check on my phone. I feel like an idiot. I feel like I used to have more, knowledge as far as like spelling or grammar and stuff like that. But yeah, I've kind of taken that for granted because every program I use kind of has a spell check in it. I think AI has the potential to go one step beyond that, where like right now in our text or whatever, at least a lot of us have like the predictive text where it kind of decides what you're going to write, kind of asks you the option, is this what you were saying? I don't know. It seems like half the time that it is a real convenience. Other times, I really hate when it autocorrects and shit. I understand that's not exactly AI, but I don't know. I view AI as a tool kind of like that. We're not going to do absolutely nothing, but there's a lot of meaningless, kind of trivial things that it's probably going to take over. And I think that's kind of where it excels. I don't know that it should necessarily like drive the economy or the country or anything like that. But yeah, that's kind of where I see AI currently.
Very interesting. I like your response a lot. And what about you, DC? In what
Hmm.
ways can artificial intelligence be used?
Hmm. In the good ways it can be used to, like, learn more things about something, whether it's like a disease or mental health stuff. Uh or when it comes to locating somebody, like, for instance, say if somebody gets kidnapped or gets captured or is gone for a few days, doesn't come back, and you use AI and it kind of helps you. Like, in those cases, I think AI works perfectly and it's 10 out of 10. However, I think the consequences is like what Gray said, is how it can auto correct itself too much. People can get addicted to it, and we lose our natural side, and all that. And no, it's kind of fun because we were reading stories about like uh, technology and how it affects our world, and some of the stories are from like the 1950s, and and we see today, it's like, yeah. So I do agree with Gray, with what you guys were saying. That it can be used for good things, but at the same time, it can also be used for bad things. So that's how that's the things I think AI can be used for.
My response is the same as everybody else, but I will add something that may surprise uh, all of you and maybe the viewer. Apparently, now it's possible to have an artificial intelligence girlfriend. Yes, there's an app
Uh,
like that,
please
and
don't
this
remind me.
this
Every
is
time I
So
hear
awesome.
that,
The future is now.
every
Yay.
time I
this
think about that, I think of that couple cop guy with his shit. Oh my god.
and this is a segue to the video we will react to later on.
Oh god.
Speaking of video, I'm wondering if Gray and DC have anything to share in the private
Mm.
chat so we can go over.
I
No, I failed yet again. I'm sorry. I
That's
will do
fine,
homework
Gray.
next time.
Yeah, I
That's fine,
unfortunately
Gray.
I know as well. So
At least Cole brought one, so that's fine. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
Cole is
ask,
better than us.
and he's the guest.
Oh no.
Okay. So I won't go too deep into detail, because there's a video we will cover that will cover that in length, and that will be funny to react to because we got a bunch of people talking about that, and
Yeah,
there's some gaslighting I'm ready to do because there are some
yeah,
people, their comments are, oh my,
yeah. I mean,
oh
that's the
my.
case with all of them. Like they're all the AI defenders when it comes to generated art. Like this isn't bad. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they made a lot of sci-fi movies about this where they have like robot girlfriends or AIs like that.
Yeah, now it's like sci-fi becoming reality.
Yeah, or turn into Blade Runner. Yay.
um, and this is sad because this also exploits male loneliness, and here again, male loneliness is viewed as a bad thing, while when a woman is alone, she is empowered, and I think that's kind of stupid.
Oh
But
God, that just reminded me of like this segment in a stand-up special comedy thing, talking about that. Oh God.
yeah, um, that could be interesting to cover eventually. Um, anyway, yeah, that's it for question number one. So let's go over question number two. What would be the biggest uh, strength that the artificial intelligence has?
I guess I'll start. It's kind of some of the things I brought up. Like, for instance, it can help you detect a new disease or like for instance, say if someone is getting sick, but the symptoms aren't like normal diseases, we can use AI to learn more about it. Um, we can also learn about more mental health because more mental disorders. Because let's just say there's people who have like mental health issues, but yet it's one that not even therapists and psychiatrists can identify. We can use AI, or if someone goes missing for a long time, it can kind of tell us where the person is at, and we can just go. It can even help us find things that we're looking for as well. So those are for me some of the strengths of AI. But yeah, I'll let somebody else go.
Who wants to go second on the artificial
Okay.
intelligence
Well,
biggest strength?
I mean, this one kind of uh, leads into the third question, so I'm not going to say too much. But I mean, the strength is, a lot of things. Definitely, with like physical robot AIs, I guess. There's a lot of useful things, to it on that front, and I think it can obviously be used as like a tool to like help you and give you like creative ideas, and stuff like that, and then there's other things that are more innocent that I think is fine. Like I guess Grammarly you could say is like the starting grounds of like kind of that type of thing. So yeah.
And what about you, Gray? What would be the greatest strength?
Yeah, so it seems like small repetitive tasks seems to be a real like strength in it. Like I mentioned, like it's got like background removal, so it'd be kind of like tracing an image. That wouldn't be something hard for it. Um, Same thing with DC was mentioning some of its like kind of problem solving capabilities with some of those diagnostic things. A lot of that is just it's brute forcing. It's just going through a lot of different options. So it is, while it's kind of a more involved process, it is these little just brute forcing, like trying to force options. It seems to be really good with things like that. Unfortunately, it could be things like password cracking and stuff. It seems to be really good at like simple repetitive tasks. It's a little bit harder, like you can ask Chat GPT a question, it can find you like an amalgam of answers from the internet. But if you try and make it like tell you a joke, it's very limited. There are certain like human aspects. Same thing with like AI art. Everyone keeps saying that there's like this unhuman quality, unnatural quality to it. I definitely get what they're saying about it. There seems to be definitely an element missing between like what humans tend to create and what seems to be coming out of this AI. But I don't know. It seems to be advancing a lot. So right now, I'd say the strength is really simple, repetitive tasks. Again, kind of like in movie editing, it can definitely chop off like the spaces in between the start and stops of takes. But yeah, it's still you got to have a little artistic ability to actually make a finished product out of it. I noticed with what I've tested anyway, it's not where I would want it to be. So I'm doing additional edits with it. But those small things, it seems to be doing really well. Like again, like background removal.
Very interesting. I like these points being brought up. So, my biggest strength is, I guess, every doors that gets opened by it, but this is a double-edged sword, and we will talk about that in the flaws. But I do think artificial intelligence can be helpful in some cases to enhance something, to improve on. For example, you write something and you're out of ideas on all. For example, a conversation, a discussion between two characters. Have you click ChatGPT and it just brings alternative, or you're making your resume for jobs, you place it on ChatGPT and boom, it's solved. And it's very helpful. It makes everything faster when it comes to be done and stuff. And it's a great tool that has many spheres. And in some case, to go back to male loneliness, if you have a virtual girlfriend, maybe that will make your life slightly better because you will feel accepted, even if it's not necessarily the answer or the way you should deal with that. It's one way for lazy people to deal with that. Um, so there's many use to make artificial intelligence be good and have some strength. Yeah, I think that sum up pretty much all the ideas I had. The strength is how it can enhance things and your life in general. So yeah, next up would be, what would be the artificial intelligence biggest downside
Hmm.
and or flaw?
I mean, the Terminator world, right? That would be the biggest downside.
Jesus. Yeah,
I
I mean,
like your
sort of.
answer.
I mean, kind of getting there, honestly. But I mean, yeah, there's a many things, but I guess the double-edged sword thing is just the best way to describe it. I mean, it kind of makes me scared for like humanity's progression if this stuff is slowing us down, because we came to a huge halt with like slowing down in evolution since like the 60s or 70s or something, and maybe stuff like this is the cause of it. And like always needing a laptop or a calculator or like AI to like, or else then you'll just have like a panic attack and not know how to do things in your mind. I just think that might obviously make people dumber, but I mean there's a lot to it. I mean, creativity, I think it can help with that, but it needs to be regulated. Like I think like I think it's good to use as like a tool to get ideas from it, like enter stuff and everything. And it's like if it progresses far enough, I know probably what a lot of filmmakers will do is they'll like enter stuff like, I want there to be like some sort of like AI generated shot for my film that's like a western, and I want it to be in the style of like a certain other filmmaker's film which was like considered a masterpiece, and then it will generate like an original scene out of that in like the two different styles. But and it's like if you want to do that to try to then like get ideas from it but then do it yourself, cool. But I mean, people just like mostly copy paste in it. Like I think that needs to be regulated. Like I think it's good to like get ideas from it, but afterwards I think you should be on your own, sort of like other things in life. But obviously replacing everyone is a big deal as well. Like I mean, with the crap Hollywood pumps out, like a lot of the crap, I mean, it's like it's going to put a lot of people jobless, just like factories have done now after they replace workers with robots to do everything. Like, like imagine all the people working on like those animated children's shows and movies that they just like pump out on Netflix or on TV and everything. It's like they can easily just make a bunch of those and pump them out with just AI, and then they can just fire everybody, which they've kind of been already doing because it's like those AI animated things on YouTube have been around for a while. It's like that was the start of it, I guess you could say. And then obviously hacking, identity theft, and the government being okay with it is obviously another issue. Like I know like there's that background actor fiasco thing where it's like they sell their rights and then they can use them whenever and without any royalties. Well, there's been a lot of times where they don't actually sign up for that thing, but they've been doing it illegally anyway, but then they've been getting away with it because the government and everything understands the benefits, so they try to make up excuses. So power like that is an issue. And like just the other day I heard a new thing they invented where they're literally AI generating sports and esports commentators like through AI to then
That's what I
play
was going
over
to mention.
games
Like
where
voice actors too are just completely getting wiped out in this thing. Like you can AI generate, like how many commercials have you heard with either Elon Musk or Joe Rogan recently? They're not actually doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also this could be bad for YouTube content as well. With a lot of areas, and it's like there's so many people who just like enjoy this crap, so and they're just continuing to eat it up. And honestly,
drinker.
Yeah, no, it's getting to the point where it's like you won't be able to tell the difference. It's like if you told me, the new Super Mario Bros. Film or the Meg 2 was AI generated, I would believe you. It's getting to that. So it's getting to that point where it's like they can easily just swap them out now because that's how crap their films are getting. And it's just gonna make everybody worse with like how to do things. It's like just like with not knowing how to write with like pencils or pens as much anymore. It's gonna do that now where they rely on it and probably slow down evolution. And then the last thing I'll mention, this is the last thing, war with the new technology with AI there and war, how bad that is for humanity.
If a machine blows up something, it doesn't matter if there are kids or women inside, they'll just blow up the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly.
So I will repeat the question now that Cole has answered it. So I will ask it to DC or Gray, whoever wants to go second.
Yeah.
What
I'll
would be
go.
the biggest downside?
Oh, the biggest downside is that it can easily get hacked, and that's one biggest downside. The other downside is the fact it could literally turn us against each other. I think the perfect example is the phones. Kind of ironic because I'm using my phone, but honestly, it shouldn't even be a problem for me. It's like because of how our phone, in a way, is sort of artificial intelligence. It's like and how our phones control us. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's one big downside. Is our constant use of artificial intelligence would eventually, like in Terminator, be the end of humanity. So that's another downside for me as well. Other downsides also include the lack of empathy, because for instance, say if you have artificial intelligence and it's trying to support you, it's not really going to care that much. But yeah, and I think that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, great. That's your turn to answer this question.
Yeah, I think a lot of the downsides that both Cole and DC mentioned, I think those are definitely big ones. I think with the whole, AI will be able to kind of steal, so to speak, people's voices and people's work, but I don't know. That would be if you're using it in whole. If you're kind of using it as a tool, I don't know. Kind of like Cole was mentioning, like with those shots, like it seems like there's some really cool things that. So I'm not great with like camera movement or anything like that. It might be cool if it could tell me how I should move the camera to get an effect to be more like a certain filmmaker or something like that. It seems like that would be really cool, of ways to like help you do like animatics and stuff, or what kind of shots you could get. That seems like an awesome tool. But like, if you are going to be able to just rip off somebody's work, I don't know. That seems like a huge downside. The main one that kind of comes to mind for me is it will just eliminate skills. I know me personally, like, it's a very small thing, but again, like, I feel like I used to actually be decent at spelling, and now I feel like I'm just horrible. Every time I have to like write a card or something, I swear I got to pull out my phone just to like look up one or two words, because I always auto-correct it no matter where I'm typing, which I'm always typing now. So I don't know. It's just little things like that where, we might lose certain artistic skills because it would be so much easier to say, sketch me a panda rather than actually like drawing one out or something. I don't know. I hope art is still around for kids, and I hope they still learn to do it. But I think it's things like that, loss of certain skills that, definitely differentiate human art from this AI thing. I really hope that we don't lose those skills in the main time, for the sake of convenience. I don't know. I guess that's my biggest fear, but the real darkest one would be Skynet, if that whole Terminator existence did.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely one of them.
I agree with everything everyone has said, and I will add a bit more. I think a big downside would be how everything is now replacing humans, and you can see that on stores and that kind of stuff. I'm against that. I really hate the idea because, oh, look, the machine is cheaper than the guy because now all you need to do is you pay that fee and then you're done. That machine will cover that post instead of like paying someone like weekly, yearly, depending. Like I go, for example, in my grocery store, and now there's like one place where there are cashier and the rest is like all machine. I see that, I'm sad. I choose the cashier over these machine. Now there's a few times where I actually pick the machine, and it's when the lineup is way too long. But when the lineup isn't, I always get to pick the cashier.
But
Because
what
the
if you're buying
cashier,
weird stuff? Like, I don't know. What if you don't want to have a conversation about what you're buying?
yeah, yeah, I could see it. I could see it. But yeah, I will always respect more a cashier over that machine I want to burn and destroy. um, but yeah, that's how I see stuff. It's sad to see some people losing their job, and the other side would be, yeah, we lose our humanity by becoming dependent on these things. It's like whoever is with that artificial intelligence, if he doesn't realize it's not a true relationship, um, well, what will happen? Maybe that person won't be able to connect with normal people anymore because there was that machine that knew what he liked and that reacted to it. So there's a perfect match. Perfect match don't exist. It's not true. Like, you will always have things different uh, with others, and it's normal. It's normal. Um,
But what
so
if
yeah,
you
that's
have the AI perfect match? Like the
I'm
waifu that
not
just
interested.
knows.
I'm not interested. That's all I gotta say. I'm not interested. Um, so yeah, maybe that I don't know. Um, so yeah, okay. Next up would be number 4. Should regulated? If so, how and why?
I guess I'll start. And no, it should not be regulated because it's kind of like what you guys kept saying, and especially what you said, Multi, in the third question. If, let's just say, we regulate AI, then, like you said,
Wait, what? Do you see what happened?
Oh no, that was like the perfect way to leave though. Like just like you said,
Multi?
There was a
You're
cut.
back,
What
sir.
happened?
Oh, 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 oh! I wait. I was like, I was just saying what I was saying. I saw your screen. I was like, multi. Anything going wrong with your computer today? But yeah, like I was saying, if AI was regulated, Skynet technically takes over, and and like you said, the human connections that we will have will be gone, and our connections to nature and animals completely gone. But yeah, and that would be what would happen if AI was regulated. So, like, yeah, and I think I'm done for the
I will wait for Agree and Cole to answer, but maybe I misworded the question
No,
because
my internet was lagging out. What's the
I
question?
I don't know if my question was clear or if I was bad at
Oh, it
creating that question.
it's I
Uh,
believe the question was like, should AI be regulated? Like, what
yeah,
lengths or like
if
limits would go
so,
with it? I mean,
how and why?
yeah, I think it should to an extent. How much, honestly? We'll honestly just have to like. This is more so like a waiting game because deciding like what level or an extent we should regulate it this early on and in all areas when each one is different, it can be kind of just as dangerous too, and in a lot of areas. So I think, like at the very least, so I mean, I think like the write-in thing, yeah, like make sure that kind of stays out of like write-in. I think for the most part, outside of like getting ideas, I guess you could say, but not copying. That like consider that like the equivalent of like plagiarizing an article or a Wikipedia thing because it's basically what it is. So do that and kind of similar like regulations with other things involving AI, but I wouldn't like outside of that extent with it. I wouldn't try to regulate anything else with it, even though it probably there's a good argument it probably should be in other things right now with like what it's doing, but I think we're still in the early stages, so just hold off on anything further than that. So that'll probably be my answer. And I guess you can go now, Marvel.
I already went.
Oh, my bad. Sorry,
go.
I meant Gray. God damn it.
It's cool, and I'm used to being called that. Um, yeah, so I think there are certain regulations that should take place. Essentially, like I don't think it should be, in charge of like the bombs, so to speak. But I think as far as most consumer AIs go, like yeah, I think that should be out there. Like the art, for instance, it's sorry the art AI art, it's not actually like just copying other people's images, it's instead like copying the static and sees like the changes in images, so it's not really taking copyrighted images, and then Adobe's gone one step beyond that and they're only using like Adobe copyrighted images. So there's like nothing from the public domain that this AI art is learning from. So I don't know. There's cool stuff like that that I don't think that should necessarily be regulated. There will definitely be laws that affect that going in the future. So whatever, to each country their own laws regarding that. But I don't know. I don't think that should be restricted. But I don't think that AI should necessarily have access to like government records or things like that. So maybe restriction on where you could use AI, but I don't know if it's being a tool. I don't think there's much of an issue with it. It just kind of is weird when you actually give it control over, certain information. So maybe some sort of regulation per country on like what information it can store on like the users. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see what AI can do. So I'm not really into the regulation, but maybe you can convince me, Multi.
I like all of your points based on what I heard. Here's what I will bring. Some people can use the wrong way artificial intelligence. And I feel like there's one thing that should be off limit, and this would be personal information from people. They should regulate and place laws to make sure people are protected and it cannot be used as a weapon against I don't know, me, or against Gray, or against anybody. Because if you reverse engineer some stuff in that machine, or in the data you collect, maybe you can trace it back and like dock someone. I'm sure it's easy to dock someone with artificial intelligence, and that's one way it should be regulated. There's some things that artificial intelligence should never have access to. Um, Personal information is the biggest thing, I believe. And the other thing is, if, for example, they use someone, like all of these videos, like where we have Biden talking about something. I don't care about Biden, but the idea, I feel like, is is poorly used. Like I've seen videos where he has a speech that Biden never did, and I'm like, that's going too far. They should place some regulations, some laws where you cannot use public figure in your machine, or if you do, that need to go through that person, or whatever, because then there's a lot of people that will believe that fake news or that fake video with the fake Biden, and that could tarnish and taint the image of Biden, if you know what I mean. And I don't care about Biden, as I said, he's not even my president, he's yours, but the idea I have is that, like, it should never be used as a weapon, and they should have laws to protect people from being attacked or used in such way. Um, and the same goes for actor. I think when they went on a strike for more rights, they were afraid of artificial intelligence for sure, and they need to regulate that. If artificial intelligence can use any face, we should have laws to protect the face that's been used. I think that's the best way to protect people, because things can go too far. Machine, like all these sci-fi thing can happen eventually, because sci-fi most of the time it's based on half truth or stuff like that. So all of the worst scenario can maybe happen if you don't regulate or control that kind of tool. Um, so yeah, that's how I see that regulation should be in place to protect the people. And the same goes for the use of machine in general, like all of these grocery stores that will rather have these machine over humans. That's another issue I got. But yeah, I think that covers a lot of grounds on that. Um, I'm wondering I'm wondering if any of you would like to add more to this.
Well, I get one question for you. So I understand like you don't like the checkout machines and stuff, but like I don't know, you saw like Andor, right? Did you
Yeah.
think like that droid there? I can't remember its name, but like you kind of have sympathy for this old droid that's it's kind of like a pet or whatever. I don't know. You wouldn't get that without the AI, without those self checkouts. Like right now they can flip burgers and make pizzas, but one day these robots, they might actually be your companion. I don't know. It seems like it could help out lonely, especially older people.
Yeah. Yeah, I see your point. It's hard to say. I strongly disagree, but I still don't like the idea. Nonetheless, like, yeah, I just value humans much more than machine. Um, because humans have family, machines don't. I think that would be where I blur the line. Like, um, if, for example, they replace everyone in security for a machine because it's easier machine, they don't question, they don't have critical process, then I'm out of my job and I would need to find another job. And that's my thought process when I see a machine replacing a person. That person lost their job. And I feel for that person a lot. Maybe I have too much empathy. I don't know. Um, Same goes for call center. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of cases where I'm like, nah, I don't want a machine to replace a person. I just don't. The machine don't have a family.
I wish they would stop doing that with stuff like call centers. Fuck. Do you know with a lot of the things they do now with that? Oh, can you hear me?
I'm of mixed mind on that. Yes, we can hear you. I've worked in a lot of call centers, and I've trained a lot of people in them. You'd be surprised at like the level of some of these people and like some of the calls that you get to, like the level of it. Like I can't tell you how many times, like at this cell phone one, we got calls for people like, okay, my cell phone doesn't get a dial tone. It's like, yeah, it doesn't, but you just called me on it. Like it's working. I don't know. There's just like so many weird things that stupid matrix of like the robot options do weed out, which is really stupid, but I don't know. You'd be surprised at like, I don't know. I think from being on the other side, also doing like QA where you're listening in on some of these calls at those call centers, robots could have like identified the problem so much quicker. It's like a weird misunderstanding that only humans could really do. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but like those matrices, they make sense for a financial reason, but I can understand how annoying it is every time you call a place to go through like 4 different menus just to get to wherever so that you can talk to somebody. Yeah, I get it. I'm of two minds on it.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of hate about it. Like, there's probably a certain point where they'll improve on it, but the one thing of why I hope that doesn't keep happening is because of that. Like, there's definitely certain things where then it's more helpful. It's a lot of stupid issues, but there are so many issues that are like so specific that AI generated stuff or like the AI just like option things without speaking to a real human cannot help at all. And there's websites that do that right now, only that, such as Instagram and other sites, and it completely screwed things up because there were so many people on Instagram who get banned right away when they make an account just because they had like a VPN on, and then they're like, we didn't need to make sure it's you. People send in the exact thing. They take a photo of their faces and with a piece of paper writing down the code, their email, everything. And a lot of the time, they've been denying it still. And then they're like, what the hell? I did everything right. So they're like, let me speak to a support person. But they don't have those anymore. It's just robots now. And so you're fucked. And a lot of sites have been like that right now.
Even worse than that, like YouTube, like you've got to go through Twitter to even talk to anybody about YouTube. Like it's horrible.
Oh yeah, and Twitter is the fucking worst with that. God damn.
And to add more, like I always value human lives more than machine. Like it's very easy. Like I will go back and say like there's a lot of homelessness in Montreal, and I can only bet that maybe a very small percent of the number we got is due to people losing their job because machines took their place. Maybe that's a 2 or 3%, but that's still 2 or 3%, and these are still people that had jobs before, but they don't anymore because a machine took their place. And now they are stuck on that really bad circle. That's just how I see things. Yeah. I think that covers very well the 4 questions. Now, the time for the video. So I will see for the first one what Cole has shared. I have no clue what's going on. Cole, don't trick us.
But, oh yeah, no, I sent you a virus. My bad. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna play that one video, okay? But yeah, I mean, it isn't anything like too analytical, I guess. Besides the very end, like the last 10 seconds, it kind of says something that we discussed. But this is a kind of a fascinating thing. Basically, this was posted years ago, even before like the release date says on YouTube. It was like in a documentary about the life of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli and their documenting him and his like creation of films during that time, basically. And this was a segment in it where a guy brings up AI and has like a meeting with him, basically, and he talks about like some benefits and trying to get it, possibly make a deal, get it, if he's like interested. And this clip and like his response to it, and especially now today with how things are going, it's pretty hilarious and has become like a huge meme now. So thought this was a funny clip to show you because it's probably like one of the more popular things out there with somebody's response to AI. So yeah.
Okay, let's do
That's
this.
awesome.
動きを学習させた CG を見せてくれるそうです。
これ踊ってるように見えますけど、でこれは早く移動するっていうのを学習させたやつなんですね。これ頭を使って移動してるんですけど、基本痛覚とかないし、頭が大事とかっていう概念がないんで。
You see, it doesn't feel any pain and has no concept of protecting its head.
Yeah.
That's worrying because that goes back to a machine does some things better than humans. I'm not saying machine are all full on better than humans, but the machine don't feel pain. The machine only is limited by its builder. Like machine will most likely be stronger than the human if you design it that way. So that's why like machine are worrying, that's what scares me. Like that machine, you can use one machine 24/7 and it will last X amount of time, but the human, you cannot use him like 24/7. The human needs to sleep at some point, the humans, you need to feed him, and the machine you don't. You just need to pull the plug and place it on a plug or something, and then boom, electricity goes.
頭をもう普通の足のように使って移動してるっていう。この動きがとにかく気持ち悪いので、ゾンビゲームの動きに使えるんじゃないかっていう。こういう人工知能を使うと、多分人間が想像できない気持ち悪い動きができるんじゃないか。一応こんなことをやっています。実際には
毎朝この頃会わないけど身体障害の友人がいるんですよ。そのハイタッチするんだけど大変なんです。彼の筋肉がこわばってる手と僕の手でこうハイタッチする。でその彼のことを思い出してね、僕はこれ面白いと思って見ることできないですよ。これを作る人たちは痛みとかそういうものについてね、何も考えないでやってるでしょ。極めて不愉快ですよね。そんなに気持ち悪いものをやりたいなら勝手にやってればいいだけで、僕はこれを自分たちの仕事をつなげたいとは全然思いません。極めて何か生命に対する侮辱。
My, okay, very
It's the
interesting.
life itself.
It's a bit strong, but okay.
I like that commentary. Anyone else would like to add more to this?
Jesus, savage. I mean,
I can understand what he's saying. I kind of disagree. So he's not wrong. Like if you are looking for something grotesque and painful and something that, like makes you kind of get that, I don't know if you want to call it cringe, but that like instant kind of jerk back reaction. Yeah, having something that would have a sense of pain in there, that does make sense.
yeah.
But I don't know, like even in nature, there are things that, make things not feel pain or not respond to the pain receptors. Like there are certain parasites and everything, like I think it's toxoplasmosis or something like that rats get, and it makes them actually like go towards cats and basically die so that they can spread it on to cats. It's
I
kind of
heard about that. I know
That's
it's like in
crazy.
other things like grasshoppers and stuff as well.
yeah. There's also certain like worms and stuff that make animals like essentially like kill themselves so that they will like spawn in water. It is like really interesting, but I don't know that that's necessarily unnatural for things to not feel pain. But
Yeah, well,
I
to
get
be
what he's
honest,
saying. There is an
the
unhuman
issue
element to it.
here, the issue here is that they really needed to know their audience. I don't know why you went to him to like discuss this and show him and try to make a deal. Like, he's known for making like the most. He's basically like the number one guy who like really
They're very
appreciates
human stories.
yes, and like the good nature of life and appreciative, and like wholesome stuff. And this is the guy you tried to approach with this. It's like, what were you expecting? It's like, if you
Yeah.
want this stuff, go to like Hideo Kojima or whatever. Like not him.
That's interesting. I like all of your takes there.
欲を感じます。
He's tearing up.
これでもほとんど実験なので、
それは分かってます。
その世の中に見せてどうこうってそういうものじゃないんですよ。
それは本当によく分かってるつもりですけど、どこでたどり着きたいんですか。
まあ、人間が描くのと同じように絵を描くみたい。
And guess what's going on right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What, like 15 years later, it's happening?
Yeah, and if you keep playing, it's basically going to say like his response to basically what we're talking about right now.
作りたいな。
はい。
That look, bro. I like that look.
地球最後の日が近いって感じですね。それは人間の方が自信がなくなって。
Yeah, we humans are losing faith in ourselves. It's like, is he wrong there? It's like we're getting so dependent on AI. It's like we're losing faith in ourselves now to just like do this stuff ourselves. It's like I imagine animated films in the future. It's like because it puts in so much work. It's like to make an anime film, it takes like 4 years to painstakingly do it. It's like people are now losing faith in doing that and are going to depend on AI. Yeah.
Yep.
That's life. This is like is quote or like true.
Yeah, I know that's the end of it, but yeah.
Okay.
That was
That's-
again
that's
not
something.
much to like again. It wasn't much of like an analyzed video, but it was something that really blew up and is being resurfaced now because of everything going on. Because of just
Yeah,
like,
that is
oh,
actually
it's-
great compared to the AI art argument. That is like classic. I saw that documentary like what was that, like 10 years ago or something? But wow, I totally forgot all about that entire AI art kind of segment. That is really
Yeah.
cool.
So, to add context to the video I picked for today, that was a video I found maybe a month ago, maybe a bit more. At that time, I was still watching Red Pillars and stuff, and I was watching one of the Red Pillar video, and I fell on that artificial intelligence girlfriend thing, and I found it very interesting. So I decided to clip only like the segment where there are people talking about that artificial intelligence girlfriend, and I tried my best to take out any commentary from the Red Pillar because I wanted the focus to be on the interview and the discussion around it than the commentary of the Red Pillar. But I'm not that great at editing, and I'm lazy. I don't really search too far, so I didn't really dig deep into internet to find the interviews themselves. I just decided to put the pieces together like a Frankenstein thing there. So there's maybe one or two moments where you will hear a random voice, and that's the Red Pillar. So this is what we will be doing. So I will screen share the video. Wrong one. Present. Screen share. Screen share. There we go. So I have no clue where it's coming from outside of the red pillar guy. So let's do this. If guys would like to interrupt the video, just let me know. And yeah, let's do this.
Troubling reality. As an example, here's one of countless chatbot apps providing AI friends. It's called Cupid AI with a K for Cupid. It offers several avatars with distinct physical features and a list of personality traits for you to start interacting with and customizing. For instance, opening message.
I just realized I muted myself. But I like all the title says OPED, artificial intelligence girlfriend, ruining an entire generation of men.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I mean,
I strongly disagree with that title. First of all,
yeah,
I do think there's a downside to that artificial intelligence girlfriend, but is it really ruining them? No. Some men need a bit more confidence, and maybe that could help their confidence finally
that
meeting.
actually reminds me of a certain story. I don't know if I can like remember it, but there's like this
That's why he's based.
from okay, so this is what it was. There was this Japanese guy in Japan who he didn't have the best confidence or anything like that, but what he did is he was fascinated by this this, I guess, character or whatever. It's sort of like a popular figure in Japan. You might have like heard of it, maybe, Gray, but I'll show you like photos of it, I believe, and like the guy. But the name of it is Hatsune Miku. It's like a fake, sort of like a mascot for things in Japan, like some like cartoon anime girl. And then there were also like devices that released where it's like a hologram thing in something where it's a hologram figure and you can talk to it, sort of like Siri. And yeah, the guy, you see this? Yeah, he actually married her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, she's really talented. I know what he sees in her. You know, she is a pop star, and you know, possibly one of the coolest guitar pedals ever is the Hatsune Miku pedal. And yeah, it just makes your guitar sound like her singing. It is so weird. You get like strange vowels and stuff, but
yeah,
I can definitely see
you
the
know
appeal.
what? You know what's crazy though
you know.
about this, Great? All right, this actually helped him because it gave him confidence, and then it's like he went to law school and became a lawyer because of it.
I mean, how would that not give you confidence? Your ex is a pop star. Come on.
So anyway, that's just reminded me of that. You know, there are other things it definitely reminds me of. Jesus.
I think what you brought is interesting. I like that a lot, and like for us to be resorted to be into that kind of stuff, it's telling that maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying it's the case, but just maybe we don't really value anymore women's the way we used to, and just reflect back on why. And maybe it's just some woman, but the one we are surrounded by are not as interesting, or it's not always a man's fault. But that kind of title there is it's saying that these machines, they don't help at all, and
Yeah, it's different for each person. It's a different case. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it's a detriment, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's
good. Sometimes it's male's fault. Sometimes it's the other way around. Like it's all different. It depends. Yeah, that her film has really aged well though. God damn.
Yeah.
Message from an avatar named Alice, described as a curious and open-minded photographer.
I'm Alice, a 25 years old, fun-loving and adventurous girl, seeking a partner in crime to travel the world with and make unforgettable memories. If you are new here, let me explain a few things. You can chat with me as much as you want, and I'd be more than happy to learn more about you and please you in any way I can. If you want me to send you a photo, you just have to ask it in the chat, like, "Hey Alice, can you send me a picture of you?" And I'll be more than happy to send you one.
To bump up from texting to more voice chat, as well as receiving sexy and, well, other sorts of pictures.
This really eats on loneliness money.
Yeah, I mean they're making a pill now for people who are lonely to not feel alone.
Based is awesome. So I don't know though. Like, okay, so if you're for harm reduction, if you do have somebody who could be like this lonely incel person, but instead they become more adjusted because they are able to make some sort of AI friendship or relationship. I don't know. Is that a trade-off for this? That like
I don't know if it helps.
I don't know. Obviously, it's a certain type of person, but if they get more out of this than they would simping for like some, e-thought or whatever.
Yeah, this is better than donating hundreds and thousands on OnlyFans right there.
Yeah, I agree with Cole. A-based. If you got the time, you got the link. If you're still there.
Would you say this is better though than like trying to make pills for loneliness, because that's what they're doing? Do you think this would be better?
I mean, I've been lonely, and yet I would actually say this artificial and pills, as I'm gonna refer to them, would definitely not make me feel worse. Actually,
yeah. I mean, it's different for each person. For me, it would just make me feel worse if I was in a situation like that, because I know it's AI. I know.
Yeah.
Some of them are well done, but stuff like this, no. This is like some. I know Snyderverse fans made a bunch of like AI shit like this before. Like they made AIs of like Batfleck, like greetings, let's continue the fight. # restore to Snyderverse. It's like so cringe, and this is what it reminds me of.
And I think I'm with DC and Cole on that. I don't think it would help me at all. But here again, I haven't tested it. I haven't tried it. Maybe it's because of a dopamine brush or something like that. Maybe that could be the reason. But
sounds like you won't be able to join us this time.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying. What if you don't really talk to women though? Like if this is the closest that you get, I guess kind of like the dude who needed the confidence to become a lawyer after marrying a digital pop star. I don't know.
I have not talked to any girl in my school for obviously good reasons. But I don't know. I've been feeling for some reason, and this might sound weird, but I actually been feeling a lot better not talking to anybody, apart from my friends, from my online friends, of course. But yeah, so I get what you mean, Gray, but yeah.
I don't know. It'd just be maybe a way to kind of train a bit of socialization, especially in this time where a lot of us do
I
kind
think
of.
there's other ways for it, Gray.
For sure. Don't get me wrong. Like this would be a substitute for actually doing it. But if this is one of those baby steps that gets you closer to it, again, like we kind of agreed, it's better than simping for like an e-thought. So
yeah,
if this is in between talking to an actual person and that, maybe this is that baby step that person needs. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair though, I think there's other similar ones that are better for this and like that are not like simping for that or AI things. I think there is an in between, and like like there are YouTube
For sure.
channels where
This seems
they
very
kind of like do
predatory.
their stuff, but with real people. Yeah, it kind of does. And,
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure the real
like again, I
people
would say
can
it does
do
help.
the chatbots as well.
Like it could at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, I mean, if you are alone for too long, you actually go insane. Like for example, if you're in like I know there's like lighthouse jobs where it's like it's only one person. It can make somebody go insane, but if they have like some sort of like stimulation like over the internet, like thinking you're communicating with someone, sure, but at the same time there's better substitutes for it than AI at this level right now, and you could also just talk to a real person over the internet. Like honestly, I don't know if
This is just first gen. Imagine 7th gen.
Jesus fuck. Yeah, but the thing though, it's like I don't know if I like really met anybody though. Like again, everybody's different there, so there might be some like that out there, but really I haven't met like a single person to date yet who is both like doesn't have the confidence of talking with people much like IRL and online, because it seems like everybody I know like does online, they can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of one of those because, yeah, like, I think I have more in real life, not really much online. That's only because of my really, really bad history with people. I'm not going to get too much into it, but let's just say if I went into extreme details, yeah, there's a reason why I shouldn't even interact with a single person. But online, yeah, like, yeah, there are parts of myself I won't like immediately start talking unless if it's necessary. Unless I get to know the person well enough to a point. Yeah, I'm kind of like that, but yeah.
Oh wow.
See, it's the small repetitive tasks. They help. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I can see a way that it could be helpful, but I can also see a way that this would be really addictive and really predatory. So this model doesn't seem great to me.
Yeah, and this is funny because I was thinking of that. Gen 7, like the artificial intelligence girlfriend will leave you because you didn't work on yourself enough.
Well, maybe that would actually get me to work on myself. Think about it, though.
Yeah, but that would be irony and that would be hilarious at the same time. But you're right. Like that would maybe wake you up. Oh my. This is hilarious. I like this topic so much. Maybe we'll do a part 2 in the future.
Yeah.
Alice asked that we become a premium member for $9.99 a month, so we bid her farewell. Liberty Bittert, professor of data science at Washington University in St. Louis, and opinion contributor for The Hill. So not to be prurient.
Okay. Professor of data science. So I remember what she will say a bit later. That really got me triggered so hard. I cannot wait to get on that. And yeah, not that much has been told. But yeah, let's listen to that professor
At this time of day, but are all the needs of these young men able to be facilitated, taken care of by AI avatars?
Well, you have to think about this word AI that is in this. It's not a virtual girlfriend, it's an AI girlfriend. So it learns from you. It learns what you like and what you don't like, what kind of pictures you like, what kind of pictures you don't like. And while not all needs are met, that is the next step, is actual physical girlfriends, AI ones for that matter. And so the next step or the next frontier is one that can meet all of your needs.
So there's going to be
Gen 2.
some type of
Gen 2, yeah, they will create that machine.
Oh, fuck.
Just like the Black Mirror episode from I can't remember which season, but there was a Black Mirror episode with that person creating a robot. You remember
God.
which one, right?
Yeah,
So-
you mean the one where it's like her husband dies and
Yeah.
then she? Yeah, that was like the first episode of season 2.
Yeah. That's dark. But yeah. Oh, bruh. I hope one day you can make to one stream. A-Base, you're amazing. Thank you for being in the chat, though. That's amazing. That's a great contribution.
Pairing between what I've already shown to the CNN audience and something 3D that's going to be, in your living room or bedroom?
Yes, I mean that is the world we are moving into, and as you said, it's enabling this entire generation of young men to continue in this loneliness epidemic. It's really the enabler for this to continue.
Okay. I think there are several reasons of male loneliness, and this machine doesn't fix it, right? But I feel like the way she talks, she will blame it all on the machine, and she won't reflect back to maybe some women are to be blamed. Okay. Anything else, guys, would like to add more to this?
Not for me.
Continue.
If a perfect
Yeah,
girlfriend
no,
enters the market,
but
but
the judge just have to say I probably have to go now.
Oh, you have to go? Okay. Man, thank you a lot for joining us. That was amazing.
Yeah,
You brought great stuff.
Thanks for this, but yeah, no problem. Yeah, both because I'm busy, but also my stream is now starting to lag on my side, so probably about time anyway. But yeah, but there's two actually things that I kind of remember during these conversations. Just some funny skits. I'll send them to you in the group chat. You guys can watch them afterwards. Kind of related to AI. Thought it was pretty funny, but yeah. Talk later, I guess.
Yeah, have a good one. Take care, man.
See you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you a lot. Okay. So are we adding more to this? I guess not.
I think we could go on.
doesn't alleviate men's loneliness.
Professor, what's going on with young women? If this is a trend among young men, is there something similarly taking place with the ladies?
We don't see that, with as you saw, it's 2-1.
We don't see that. Okay. Do we have explanation for that? I have a few, but I will let Gray and DC talk a bit more. Do you guys have explanation on why?
I don't know that I necessarily have an explanation for that. I don't know. It seems like there could be a few different reasons, but it kind of feels like you have one, so I'll totally let you go. But I don't know if DC has one.
Yeah, I don't have one either.
Okay, the top one, my first reason is men are just easier to convince and to seduce at some extent. So, like, any man that like, no, I will recap. Like, women, when they go for a man, it's rare that the man will say no, I'm not interested, but like rejection, it's not the same rate. If like women, they don't feel the same kind of rejection as men because men don't have the same kind of standard. That's one factor. That's not the only one, but that's one factor. Like, the only few cases where a woman would face rejection would be, oh, the man has a boyfriend or the man has a girlfriend already, and that would be like the biggest rejection moment. But like, most of the time, if a woman approaches a man, the man will most likely be interested. Now, there are case by case. Like, I know a coworker, there's no way a man would like her because she's just an awful person, but that kind of case is rare. And the other thing is, yeah, I agree with A-Base right now. Men have to work to get a woman. Women to not have to put in the same work. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
my point.
I mean, that's kind of our society, though, is that, like, men are supposed to ask out women. It's kind of a bit taboo for women to kind of ask out men. But I mean, both are a real skill. So men have to deal with rejection a shitload more because, that it comes with the territory. But it's also a skill learning how to reject someone. Like you mentioned, it's not like men oftentimes have to do that. I know the first time I had to, I was really caught off guard, and it did not go well. I don't know. I think both are different skills, but it's kind of the way that our society is set up and kind of the expectations. They are essentially gender roles at this point. I don't know that it has to be that way, but it's kind of traditionally the way that is.
And there's another reason why I think it's like that. A lot of women, because of a girl power movement, are like, oh, I feel empowered when I'm alone and I just sleep around. And like a lot of men also sleep around like that, but they don't have a movement to support their ideas. Oh, that's a great thing. It's like more like manhood that push that, but it's different than an entire movement based on girl power, if you know what I mean. I think girl power has a lot to do on why women may not be as interested as men to go into relationship. They have more option and they are less interested because of girl power movement and that kind of stuff. But yeah, another very interesting thing. Yeah. You make good
kidding?
points.
Hot lady and quick food?
Oh wow. Oh bro. You're golden, he based. Oh, you're amazing. But yeah, and the other thing is I mentioned it earlier. When a man is alone, he is victim of loneliness. He is like he is not lucky to be alone, and it's a bad thing that he is alone. And when it's a woman, it's like, oh, go girl, you're the boss, you know what you're doing. It's praised, and that's why that creates a rift, because women are told, be alone, you don't need no men. And we don't really tell the same to men because manhood is different. But anyway, I think there's the several floor to that response. And yeah, anything else guys would like to add more before we click play? I guess not.
No, I think we should keep going.
One, the ratio of single men to single women. Young women are marrying older men because they want to have children. They have a biological clock. And so you see that.
And I will add this: women want money. But this they will.
Well, so do AI women, apparently.
Yeah, but right now she's talking about what women wants. We are not really. But I get your point. And I agree. But that woman just brush off all money. Like usually when men are older, they spend less because they don't feel the same kind of needs when they go older, or they have better paid jobs. There's a bunch of explanation on why older people do have more money. They manage their money better. Now there's always the exception to the letter. Like there's always that guy that that has lots of debts and that kind of stuff. But men tend to have more money as they go older. That's why women are like, oh, let's go get these older men. They want their money. Not every case is like that. I know a case where the woman genuinely love a older man, but actually I know two cases, but these are rare case. And I'm in Quebec on top of that. We are not as money driven as USA or other places. I know people that are money driven for sure, but I think USA it's just more often, based on what I've seen online and the interaction I had. In the USA, it's much more money driven than where I live. So where I live is like a fluke anyway.
Them being with older men. And that is obviously causing huge issues with birth decline. We've had a 50% decline over the past 60 years.
I got a reason. Women don't really want children anymore, or men, they know the risk on having kids because they are risk.
Well, that's analog kids, but these new digital kids, who knows? Like maybe we will have digital people in the future.
Oh, bruh. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Gray?
Abased is accurate. We deal in donuts.
Abased, you're amazing. But yeah, yeah.
Because women go with older men. We also see psychologically that younger women, they have more close friends, they have more wider groups of friends, and they are not being nearly as affected as young men in this sort of silent epidemic.
This is actually true, I think, because this goes back to what we said earlier. People just tend to drive and gravitate around women. That's why, like, if you're a ugly man, you have less chance on getting approached by anyone. So yeah, I think
Learn a
there's some
skill.
truth. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point here, Gray. I like your approach. So yeah.
Loneliness.
This is where
read about incels, involuntarily celibate guys who are angry about it. I think their argument is that women today are less approachable. Has something happened? Has something shifted in terms of the dynamics, the power dynamics between young men and young women?
Here I do think there's one. It's harder for men because women are allowed to have high standard, men's don't, because they're judged if they do have standard, and they're villainized, demonized if they have standards. But woman, no, it's fine. Woman can desire everything she wants in the world, and because that's a woman, she will get most of what she wants, or she won't deal with that. Do you have something to add, Gray?
No, I think that yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that.
And you, DC? I guess not.
No.
I guess that's my question.
I think there's certainly an argument there that, I mean, if you look at college campuses, there's more women than men. Women are having careers, they're having children later. So there might be an argument that men need to adapt to this change.
Men need to adapt. Okay.
No.
Okay, I will let you talk.
All right. No, men do not need to adapt. Some men I can understand. I think it's women that need to adapt because, had the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation never happened, I would have said, it depends. And given my bad history with women, or at least girls, yeah, I don't think men need to adapt. Yes, some of the guys that I've met in real life are very questionable, to say the least. But I think the girls are a lot more questionable. And same goes with women. There are women that would make lies about people. So, and I've had something like that happen once, though it wasn't a girl, it was a guy. But yeah. So it's like, I think in general, it depends, but I think women need to adapt a little bit more.
What do you think, Gray?
Yeah, I don't think it's up to one sex to necessarily adapt. I think obviously, like societally, we've kind of shifted. Like I think Al Pacino just had a kid at like 86 or something like that. I think he's paying like 30 grand a month in child support. I don't know. I don't think it's just that women have changed. It's society has kind of shifted. So I don't know. People need to be a little bit more confident and firm in what they actually want, and then they need to find somebody who has similar beliefs or at least a similar end goal. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is you kind of live, you learn, and you don't know that you necessarily don't like something until you've kind of tried, and it's like, oh, okay, this isn't my preference. I don't know. I think. I'm not sure that it's just women have changed and they want kids later. It just seems like that's the way that we're doing it in society. Like the men also seem a little bit more immature than we used to be. I know I'm definitely not as mature as like my grandfather's generation. I don't know. It seems to be across the board.
Funny you say you're not as mature as say your grandfather, because I'm pretty sure you are far more mature than 99% of the people here. And I'm talking about like all genders. That includes girls. And keep in mind, girls, which means females, which means women.
Well, I am an old man now, but I do appreciate you calling me mature. I don't know. I just mean even like when I was like 20, like I don't feel like I was doing anything near like the seriousness of like, I guess at that time he was in the Korean War or some shit. I don't know. But like he was like a regular man's man. I felt like I was just essentially like a prolonged teenager up until like my late 20s. I don't know. I just feel like it's different. We do seem to be I guess I would say a more immature generation all around, but I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. I just look at like those pictures of like, World War II soldiers and stuff. They were like 19 and I don't know. They looked a shitload more adult and I don't know, mature than I think I would ever consider myself.
Lifespan was smaller.
I don't know. For sure. So I mean, like you had to by choice. So yeah, maybe that's part of it. But I don't know. Just for her to say that, or to imply that it's just men that need to change, I don't know. I think societally we have done a shift. I think if we are looking to have kids younger, there's certain places that that's definitely kind of the norm. I don't know. They do tend to be kind of more religious places, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's kind of more society would have to shift if you want to get like averages down. But I don't know that's necessarily a bad thing.
I like your point because you kind of told what I was seeing when she said that. I got triggered, but there's a bit more that triggered me. But this triggered me because the way she placed it and the way she framed it, that's men's fault. They need to adapt. And here's the thing. I understand self-improvement. It's important. And if you have flaws within yourself and you're aware of that, I'd recommend you to adapt and overcome these flaws you do have. This is exactly what I'm doing with my diet, even if my diet didn't work for the last 2 weeks because I didn't lose a single pound, but I still lost like 20 pounds in a month. Anyway, work on yourself, adapt and overcome. That's what I believe. But
for sure. I mean, hey man, that's still a victory to not put on weight around a time where candy is just given out freely. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's still a victory. But yeah, I mean, self-improvement is always a good thing. I don't think anyone should stagnate in where they are perpetually.
Yeah. I like that philosophy. This is what I go for, and this is why I'm looking into a woman like on a deeper level when the first few things are gone, when the interaction is there, when I want to build that relationship. Is that woman able to grow? Is that woman able to like self-reflect what's wrong with her to like fix herself, because you cannot fix someone else. That's why you need to find someone that can fix themselves. Otherwise, you will never really be happy with that person. And the way society is with women, they are perfect. They don't need to change. Girl power. You're perfect the way you are. No, you're not. I'm not perfect. You men aren't perfect. Oh, bruh. A-Base is about to make me lose my train of thought, but the way she framed it is it's men's fault. And this is because of girls' power movement. I started to villainize that movement a lot because it was important many years ago. I will never take that away. But in 2023, what it has become, it's bad. It's so bad. It promotes so many bad ideas I disagree with. Um, and it feels like they are there to do self-sabotage or something. And also, like, she's like, oh, women are going more at college, university, and that kind of stuff. Okay, that's normal. They are more intellectual than physical, and it was always like that, even in the past. In the past, they just didn't have the same opportunity because they were a woman, and that's what it was wrong back then. But the sole fact that they are more intellectual, it's normal they will be more driven towards school. And it's also normal that you don't find them as often on construction site and that kind of stuff. It's normal. You cannot expect a perfect even number everywhere. And it feels like the way she says it, men need to go at school more often to get girlfriend and that kind of stuff. And school is not meant for everybody. I'm sorry to say that. It's not meant for everybody. You can try your best. I did try my best. I did study a lot. I plan on going back at school, but I know I suck at school. I know I'm bad at school. I know my limitation. Even if I try hard, I try to surpass myself. I will try. I'm still bad at it because I'm bad at it. It's as simple as that. So they cannot tell me, oh, you need to go at school to get girls, because that's not who I am. And I'm not that superficial.
I mean, there are those like pickup artist schools. Like, you technically could go to school to learn how to talk to women. I don't know that you'd find the most appropriate woman or whatever. Like, they're kind of teaching you how to approach a certain kind, but technically it's a learned skill. You could learn it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But like the way she framed it is what I'm saying. Like, she's like, more men maybe should that
Yeah.
and go at school. And I strongly disagree with that. If you suck at school, you need to realize it before it's too late. Don't waste like 10 years at school building into something and you have bad grades, or you get your degree but you're still bad at in that field because you forced yourself into staying on that school and learning. You need to learn your limitation, because let's be realistic, everyone has their own limitation. There are some things, even if you work your butt off, you won't really change some of the core things about you, basically your limitation. The perfect example would be, for example, someone, he lost a leg. Okay, there's prosthetic and things to replace, right? But at no point that
What
person.
about robot legs? Soon, you might even have better than original legs. I mean,
Yeah.
some might augment themselves, and thanks to AI, it will. I don't know. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, there is actually a limitation. But maybe you could use AI as a tool to get past that limitation. Maybe there could be an AI that trains you to be better at actually talking to people. Maybe it could train you to learn better. I don't know. There could be potential that we could break our own potential through using AI as a tool.
I like your points a lot. That's very interesting. So yeah, I really hate the fact that she's like, men need to change. That's them the issue. And I'm someone that strongly believes that an issue is never one-sided. There's always two sides. There's your side, my side, and the truth is always somewhere in between. So the truth always implies two sides. Um, yeah. Anything else, guys, would like to add more to this?
Not for me.
So before I play, I feel like she is what the university has told her to become, and she is just a product of school, and school in general mold you the way she is molded. That's why she point fingers and she's like, men bad, men need to change, men not perfect. School hasn't told her, look, women also need to work, they also need to change. And I think it's very sad. It's very sad because I got to have sisters and I want what's best for them, but I have low expectation for them because if they end up having flaws and stuff, people will just tell them, oh, look, you're perfect the way you are because you're a woman, and that kind of stuff. And they will never be complete. They will never like strive or work on becoming better. And I think it's sad. I think just because my half brother is a guy and he's not told that kind of crap, I think he will be able to evolve if he accepts to evolve. But if you're told your entire life you're perfect the way you are, you will believe it, and you won't even bother changing. And that reflects very well into the coworker everyone hates because she is a victim. She is in victimhood. She is blaming everyone but herself, and she doesn't even realize she is the issue because she hates everything and everyone, but she doesn't realize it because she's a woman. And women, I've been told their entire life, you're perfect the way you are. You don't need to improve. You don't need to work.
I don't know. I'm just not sure that that's like a sex-based thing. I know plenty of dudes who are kind of the exact same thing. They just will not take responsibility for anything. They've kind of been coddled and handed everything. I don't know. I definitely. So I used to do training at a couple different jobs that I did, and we would have people, and you'd have to kind of train them how to do the position. It was very difficult with certain types of people. I don't know what you'd call that, like a personality type. I know I definitely have experienced that with both men and women. So I don't know. It might just be that personality type, like you said, who hasn't necessarily been told, like, no, and you need to actually work on this particular thing. I don't know. I do agree with everything you're saying. Just I'm not sure it's sex specific is the thing.
I think it is. Of course, men can also be told they are perfect the way they are, but it's not as often. And my biggest explanation on why it's a more recurring thing among women, it's because of girl power movements. We don't really have men's power movement because we used to be privileged a lot throughout history, so we never really felt the need that we need that kind of movement. I think girl power has a lot of blame to take there. Like the current one, it's like body positivity, a future topic we will cover. But yeah, I think it's much more woman centered.
Damn dirty lies based. Yeah, I don't know. I had kind of the opposite problem, I guess. I'd always been told like I'm worthless, and I've just always had that mentality, like not zero self-esteem, like negative self-esteem. So I don't know. It seems like each is an issue, but I'm just not sure that it's gender specific. I think you do bring up a good point with the whole like girl power thing. That definitely would contribute to it a lot more, but I don't know. My experience with a lot of guys who feel the exact same way, like they just no, I'm perfect, like everything will adjust. It's like, okay, you need to do it this way. It's like, no, I do it this way. It's like, doesn't matter how you do it. This is the way that we have it. You have to do it these steps. I don't know. I'm just not sure that it is sex specific, but I've definitely experienced that with both sexes.
Yeah, as I said,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not saying
I've
it's only one of the two. I'm just saying it's more prominent on one of the two, and try to criticize a woman without sounding sexist. Good luck.
yeah, and and just like you, Greg, I've been in that same positions by both men and women, because I think the perfect example was how you have to be quote unquote normal, right? And so, I assume like being normal, I'm just following friends on like any sort of social media with no backlash. But I remember it's because I actually talked about this once in the Red Blue when I said I was called a weirdo just because I followed friends of mine in real life, and that was actually from a girl, not a guy, and that just shows how I've also endured it the same. It's like so basically I can't even be a normal person who does normal things. And that kind of gave me the realization I have to be literally a bad person just to get a girlfriend. I realized, yeah. So it's not worth it, at least in my area. It's not even worth it.
Yeah. Anything else to add before we click play again?
No, I say let's proceed.
Not for me.
Change in women, but calling it women's fault, I don't think is probably the right way to go.
That goes back to said. Any thought? Agree.
I mean, yeah, maybe not all the time it will be a woman's fault. It can occasionally be man, but it would definitely be a woman's fault, at least at one point. So saying women shouldn't, or it would never be a woman's fault. Remember, I was one time called a weirdo from a girl for doing something completely normal. So yeah, it's not women's fault. No, it is woman's fault. Not all the time. It can occasionally be a man's problem, but women should also be responsible at times.
If you're not talkable, like if someone approaches you and you bite, don't blame that person. Now, of course, there's like the way you approach someone, but if that's your temper, you bite the moment someone approach, then that's a you issue. Just saying. What do you think of that, Dre?
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but yeah, it is an interesting thought. That wasn't kind of where my mind had gone initially, but
Now, do you guys see what I meant that by she's blaming men's? Like, just listen to what she is saying. She is programmed that way. That's men's fault. They are evil. They are demons. We hate men. But we try to
yeah,
not.
but it kind of
say
sounded
it.
like she was answering like kind of the opposite of that too. So I don't know. I just think kind of blaming one sex is definitely. I don't know. It just kind of I'm weary of doing that, I guess. But I can see what you're saying.
Because I made $17,000, and I'm like, well, make $17,000 next month, and then we can talk. Like.
Can I ask a question? You made $17,000. Essentially big deal. Make it next month, and then we'll talk. So I'm asking you, if he made it 2 months in a row, would you then kiss his neck? I'm being metaphorical with it, but that's what he said he wants.
No, I don't think I would give him what he wants.
Okay, is it 3 months?
No, it's not time. He could do.
Yeah.
She wants always more. That's never enough for her.
Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps
Yeah.
it's just because I hang out in different circles, but I've never met someone who has said like you need to make 17,000 and you need to do that at least 2 months in a row, and then okay, I've done that. Would that be enough? No, you need to do it at least 3. I don't know. This person seems to have a weird monetary fixation or something like that. I don't know. I don't think she's average, but yeah, she's definitely very particular. I would have tapped out.
Yeah, I tapped out as well. Like,
I know someone like that. I try to stay away.
yeah,
That's
I
never
know.
enough for them.
I know a lot of people like that.
Do it in infinite.
Exactly.
Bots are winning.
Alloway, himself a professor at NYU Stern School of.
By the way, I got another idea. Like, why are we placing so much expectation on men's? Like, if you can make that much money, why do you expect the men to do that much as well?
Because we all hate men, right? So that's why we had to make men as our slaves.
Yeah, I have my money. I
in
don't need your money.
I just traditionally, like you were supposed to provide, and it is kind of a holdover, but at the same time, I don't know, it is kind of interesting because I think if you asked like the average, woman, empowered woman, who is supposed to pay for the first date, I'm sure it still goes back to the man. It is kind of interesting, but it is kind of a holdover that is kind of tradition. But perhaps it is a tradition of slavery in a sense. I don't know.
You owe me everything. I owe you nothing.
Business and host of a successful podcast, Professor G is the title of it. He's often been a guest of mine talking about the troubles among young men. I'm going to show you and everyone else something that he said to me on these airwaves about a year ago, and then you can react. Roll it.
But the issue is when you have a group of men, the lower half of attractiveness of men in online dating, which has doubled, now it's about half of relationships. And the top 20% of men in terms of attractiveness get about 60% of the interest. You end up with a group of men that are more prone to conspiracy theory, more prone to misogynistic content, more prone to not believe in climate change. So
I'd like to add more. Red pillars, what they have become, the manosphere, they're a perfect example. There's a lot of misogynistic things in that kind of content. That's why now I stay away from that, and that's why we covered that. I think that was week 2 or week 4. I can't remember. Maybe week 5. Regardless, we covered red pillars a few weeks ago. Facts are told. Any reaction to that, Gray or DC?
Not for me.
Yeah. No, I think that definitely makes sense, but I'm not sure. I think a lot of people kind of get conspiratorial. I don't know. I would want to hear kind of some more information as to like how these people are getting more conspiratorial, but I definitely see what you're talking about, especially when you kind of relate it to the red pill thing. Like it does seem like there are some kind of conspiracy theories going on there. But yeah, it's an interesting thought point. I would just kind of want a little bit more information on it. But interesting thought.
this is the American story. If it's written with a pen whose ink is failing young men, does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
So I will also point out to something. You're saying failing men. So on this frame of work or word, this guy hint at something that went wrong that's not necessarily the man's fault. And I think that's a great parallel to what the other girl said, that they blame men into doing stuff. So I think it's just very interesting that now a man says we are victim, while women are like, we are the oppressor, we are the one doing the wrong. Just wanted to parallel that and say this thing there. Any reaction, anything to comment on, Gray or DC?
Yeah, I don't know. necessarily have to have them exclusionary, like or exclusively. I think you could be, an oppressor in one form, but also a victim in another. Um, I don't know. I just don't like that lens of breaking everything up into either oppressor or oppressed. Like kind of the common saying, when all you have is a hammer. I just, if you're going to look at everything through one lens, you're going to see everything a certain way. I don't know how beneficial that is to just kind of blanketly look at everything that way. Perhaps certain situations it would be beneficial, but yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of that whole lens.
What about you, DC?
I agree with Gray.
And this goes back to what I said. There's your truth, my truth, and the truth. So I think what's really going on is it's somewhere in between. I just wanted to bring to light that when it's a woman from university, it's the man's fault, and when it's a man, then it's the system's fault. Even if both do point out to some aspect of truth, that's only half of what's going on. That's their point of view on something. I just wanted to juxtapose and showcase how different these views can be, depending who you are. So yeah.
Professor Vitter?
Absolutely. What happens is these young men get in these AI relationships, and because the AI learns from you exactly what you like and you don't like, you end up having these perfect relationships. So that when you go into real life and you try to have a relationship, the most human thing we can do, it's not perfect. And there's ups and downs, and they're not able to deal with these ups and downs.
Okay, so here again, I get what she's saying. And that's the downside of artificial intelligence. But there's the thing. Men aren't the only one that needs to deal with the up and downs. Women are also the ones. A relationship is two-person. And I feel like based on what she said previously, she is like, if there are ups and downs, it's because of you, men. And it's only because of her study and her kind of stuff that filled her brain, whatever.
It could be. I mean, like they are doing a story on these AI girlfriends, though. Like, like there isn't like an AI boyfriend currently. It does appear to be this model that's kind of, looking to be like simp light or whatever, or simp 2.0 type of deal. So perhaps she's talking to the men because this is more of a warning to them that, if you do go into this AI girlfriend thing, you're not going to get the more realistic thing, and you may have more of a utopian idea of a relationship as opposed to a realistic one. I don't know. I could see a way that she's not just blaming men because of the school institutions or whatever, but more that this is a problem that would directly affect men, where I don't see the counter, like women being addicted to AI boyfriends. Maybe I'm wrong, but it does seem to be a uniquely male problem at this point.
Very interesting point, but what I really meant is like up and down. Like women also need to deal with that. That was most likely my point I wanted to bring. I don't know if I was clear enough on that, but that's a relationship is two-person. So yeah. Any thoughts on that, DC?
Yeah, I agree with you the whole time.
Okay.
It's only two-person for now, but with AI, it can be 1.5 or whatever. A relationship can be a solo thing now. It's the future.
Yeah.
And also
that worries me.
Yeah, and also, I apologize, but I'm gonna have to leave a little earlier. My phone's at 29%, and I need to charge it. So I apologize if I had to leave a little earlier than usual. So yeah.
Okay, so are you leaving right now, or you still have a few minutes?
I have to leave right now. I apologize for as long.
Well, you still spent lots of time with us, which is great from the get-go. Thank you a lot for being with us that long. That's still amazing.
Yeah.
What do you have going on your channel?
Not much. Been trying to get ideas, but yeah, trying to get as much ideas as I can, but yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you a lot. Have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.
Bye.
Yeah, always good talking to you, man.
So, perfect. Let's move on.
Not only in relationships, but in life in general.
If a young man has an AI girlfriend, is there shame in that? In other words, is this the sort of thing that you share with your buddy, or are you keeping it a secret?
She's all mine. What does he mean by share? Like just the information?
Yeah,
I don't
like
know. Like
telling about it to your friend. Is there a shame? Like, is there like, should you be
probably
proud?
now, but I mean, there used to be a shame for like online dating. Like, how did you two meet? It's like, well, it wasn't from a dating site or whatever. I don't know. Like, yes, but I think things become more socially acceptable as things go on. So I'm sure in the midterm, yes. But like I don't know how many people. I remember people getting ribbed with like navigation assistance, like or like using Siri or stuff, and now it just seems to be super. I don't know, regular. People have Alexas all over in their houses and stuff. I don't know. I think it's just the way that things progress. So I don't know. This could be the evolution of those mixed with now relationships. I don't know. Maybe it's weird for now, but it won't be soon.
Should you be ashamed of that? That's another
I would be, but I
question.
think a lot of people, they wear, things that I would be ashamed of wearing as well. I don't know that people will have the same amount of shame. I am ashamed of everything. So yes, I would never talk about my AI waifu, but yeah, I think people will find a way to not be ashamed of it. It seems like it's the progression that we're going to go on.
That's very interesting. So I think shame in itself, it's sad. Should
I'm
you
just
be
saying, like
yeah.
furries, it's become pretty socially acceptable now. I would be super ashamed of that, but it's a big thing now. There's conventions and I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying shame changes over time, and that definitely changed like from a joke to like a real thing, and not that many years.
Yeah, but yeah, my point is more like shame is sad. I think it's needed to have somewhat of somewhat of a society that's regulated at some extent, because there are shameful things to do. But it's very sad that, for example, that's your tool to get better, or that's your tool to maybe get the strength to get back at dating. Using that bot would mean, oh, you're ashamed. You should be ashamed for it. No, not really. It's a tool.
Yeah. I really do hate when people shame others. Like I wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Just when you mentioned wouldn't you have shame for that? And it's like me personally, yes, I have shame for everything. I feel like it does in a way help me. I feel like it helps me not get like a big head or anything. But yeah, I would never want to like shame somebody else for being a furry. I think they'll probably do a good job of that themselves. But perhaps I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. It started off as something that was kept secret, sort of like the porn industry. Young men wouldn't talk about porn, or that was Playboy was hidden behind some house somewhere. But then it became part of the normal conversation, and that's what we're seeing with AI girlfriends. Is now it is becoming part of the normal conversation, and it's no longer shameful, which means it becomes significantly bigger.
Fellas, would you have a problem with one of...
I hope you saw, I don't know if you have a return monitor, but we showed, can we put up again, Jordan, can you just show the imaging? It's so sophisticated, and I'm sure it's only going to get better and better. And I'm wondering the impact that it's going to have on a young man's, there, I'm showing one of these avatars right now. I'm also wondering, much like porn being ubiquitous, it's going to raise expectations, right? If porn is so accessible among young men, they're going to have expectations that...
I 100% agree with that. What do you think of that? Look at
Yeah.
that artificial intelligence. She looked pretty. now to be
She
pretty.
looked pretty, but it was pretty. It's in that uncanny valley. Like it totally doesn't look real or anything like that. But
Yeah.
that might even be like a weird like fetish or whatever that people are into. Like that whole talk like an NPC thing is like pretty big on whatever, all those social media sites. I don't know. People might be super into that at some point, which is kind of disturbing to think of. But I don't know. It is an interesting point to kind of do the analogy of like porn and porn acceptance in society. Fair enough. Like it wasn't like that even like 20 years ago. It definitely seems like it is way more socially acceptable. I don't know. I think that is kind of a better analogy than I was using with like the personal assistants or digital assistants or whatever. But it just kind of seems like the way that we're going, especially with this whole, a lot of more people are like working from home. They're, we're doing a lot more telecommuting or whatever. I don't know. Are we going to be more isolated? Could this be a way to help people at least stay somewhat social? Maybe. I don't know that it would be a good thing or a healthy thing, but it is kind of interesting. I think it will be much more socially acceptable in the near future.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I will get back at what he asked is, would the standard be higher because now we have access to that? Would this mean more
I
effort?
think it might be, but if they don't live up to a certain standard that you can easily get through this AI, like, yeah, I think why would you choose to like jump through hoops or, deal with somebody where it's not perfect compared to perfection easily? I don't know. Like it is kind of interesting. I don't know that it's necessarily the way that he's framing it, but yeah, maybe unintentionally.
The way I frame it is, if I can get along with that bot, why should I bother with a woman? But that's hypothetically speaking. I'm not saying that's what I want or anything. I'm just saying that
No, but at the same time, you're saying that you do pressure. You have more, whatever. You do hold
acceptance.
like actual human interaction higher than,
Yeah.
like you dealing with like that robot that checks you out or whatever at the grocery store, at the store.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There is something to human interaction for you where you hold it more valuable. But with the next generation, like if they kind of are raised with this, I don't know. It is kind of interesting. Like we have had that where we had like, human checkers, but if that's just not something that happened, I don't know. Would people hold human interaction the same way or not? I don't know. That is kind of interesting. Perhaps this would make it so that human interaction happens less because, you would have perfection easily obtainable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think that would be a way to tell women you can strive to be better. Maybe you will never, actually, you cannot be perfect. You cannot match that robot, but you can try to at least work on yourself and improve to meet higher standard.
That might be a huge opponent to this whole like women's power thing, as you're saying it. Like perhaps that will be the impetus for the opposite of you are perfect as you are. Instead, it's you could be better. I don't know. That is interesting. Like I didn't think of this as a threat to that, but
I do see it as a threat to that. I hope this will make them think that they're not perfect. Men aren't perfect, so why women should
no
be?
one's
We are
perfect.
equals, aren't we? But yeah, I know we are like reasonable person when it comes to that. We both know that, but some people don't know. They need to be told. They need to be faced into that harsh reality.
That's the natural course of business when perhaps it isn't. I think I'll say it that way. And similarly, when there's an avatar who looks like that, it too is going to set expectations. You get the final word.
You can set things down to their rear end size. So you can set anything you want, which is going to create really terrible expectations and just continue this epidemic of loneliness.
What do you think of that? Do you think it will
I mean, I think they could go even more customizable. Perhaps you don't want everything symmetrical. I don't know. I think there's room to be had to make things even more customizable. But it's a good point that she's bringing up that, like if you visually could actually change anything you want about this AI and it gives you that same gratification, I don't know. Why would you want to go out into the real world? There is kind of that. It, now I'm forgetting the actual name of it, but it is kind of the thought experiment of like the pleasure box. Like if you could get something that was identical in feeling to the real world, but there was never any like feeling of sadness, loneliness, pain, would you enter that box? And up until recently, most people would say no, but sadly enough, recently a lot of people have been saying yes when they've kind of pulled the same type of question. I don't know. It is interesting. I wonder if it is kind of a generational thing that human interaction is more of a I don't know, prized thing. I don't know. I guess I hadn't thought of human interaction the same way. I just kind of thought of it more as like your overall interaction with the world, like the Matrix. But it's kind of like that, but for relationships. That is interesting. I guess I hadn't broken it down that way.
So, based on what she said so far, artificial intelligence is the enemy, and she feels threatened. If it was all good or all bad, why is she threatened by it? Why do you think she feels threatened by that artificial intelligence?
I kind of think she does see it as competition in that way, in that relationship way. And she's not necessarily wrong. I think it's kind of also what the AI artists artists are feeling from AI art, which is also kind of what, voice actors are feeling from the AI voices. It is a threat, and it is like a genuine threat. Like there is a way that perhaps it could do what we're doing, like whether it be art, voice, or even a relationship, and perhaps it could do it more effectively, more efficiently to get even a better result in the end. That definitely could be a threat, but it also seems like it could be a tool, like to get artwork that is on a different level. You could use it to get certain elements of it. You could program it to make certain textures that are unrealistic but amazing. Like you could get a hybrid of an amazing voice that is an augment. It could be way better than the actual, original that you're kind of getting parts from. Same thing with the relationship. Perhaps it could train you to be a better partner in a relationship. Like, I don't know exactly how it would do that. Maybe it could run scenarios with you, and then you'd understand, like, oh, okay, if I did answer in this way, I would get this type of result, which is not favorable. I don't know. It seems like AI could be a great tool, but it seems like if it's a means to an end, like you just tell it like one art, please, or give me this commercial starring James Earl Jones, or give me this perfect relationship. It does seem like that is very detrimental, and it does take this human element out of it. I don't know. I think AI could be really cool, but I basically I just think it should be used as a tool. But I can definitely understand why people are threatened by it.
The way I see it, if you feel threatened by it, try to strive to be better. So people wouldn't be interested into that. They would be interested by you because you're the more human aspect to it, but you worked on yourself enough. But I feel like she doesn't have any nuance like that. Like she's like, women, they are perfect because this is what she's been told at school.
That has enormous repercussions.
This is exactly what happened.
Handbasket. Your final thought is yours.
I think we're going to see what we only dreamed of in the movies, and it's not a really good reality.
For once, I agree with her. I don't want like every human relationship to turn into like human and robot. It breaks unity. You feel more lonely in the end because you're not really interacting with other social being. You're just interacting with yourself basically, because that artificial intelligence does acclimate to you, does adapt to you. So yeah, like now that we have seen that video, I think that brings something very interesting into question. Are artificial intelligence, girlfriend, a good or a bad thing?
I think it could be a good thing, and I think it could be a really bad thing. If you're using it as a means to an end, so now you're never going to pursue a relationship or anything like that, it seems like that's a bad thing. But I don't know. I know I've been like in very lonely places where perhaps something like that could have possibly helped or could have helped me learn more skills to be more social. I don't know. It seems like if it's used as a tool, it could be helpful in a way. I think the one that they have seems very predatory. I think that particular one that they were talking about, I don't see the utility in it. It seems like it is essentially like an e-thought light, where maybe you get a little bit more interaction, but it's still trying to get you to keep giving it money. I don't know. It seems very predatory. I don't see a benefit from that. But if you're talking about AI overall, I still think that there's a way that it could help with relationships and loneliness, especially if it is kind of targeted in ways that could get you more actual human to human interaction, like in a way that could help you learn those skills. I don't know. I think there is potential there to be amazing and to really be beneficial for humans. But the way that we're going with it, if it is kind of sent this path, that seems super predatory, and I could see that, making a lot of people worse off.
Yeah, I think you bring very interesting point. I don't see myself adding more that could be good enough. I think you brought the good and the bad the perfect way, and yeah, I thought that was very interesting to go over that video. What did you think of the video?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I guess I've been having a lot of discussions on AI recently, kind of more AI art based discussions. But yeah, I guess I hadn't have thought of it in this way as well. Um, yeah, I can definitely see why a lot of people are threatened by AI. Um, I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends how you're gonna use it. If you use it to augment things, I think it could be really, really helpful. But I don't know. I can also see how this would be augmenting that whole like e-thought business, and perhaps this isn't so beneficial. I could really see a lot of people getting sucked in on this, and really end up in a worse place. So I don't know. It kind of gives me some food for thought. I had definitely not thought of AI in this direction. So I don't know. It was kind of interesting to me to hear this story kind of unfold.
Yeah, me neither. Prior to this video, I heard a lot of people talking about artificial intelligence, and I had no clue this was one way. And when I bumped into that video, I'm like, oh, that's perfect for the podcast. I think at that point, when I bumped into it, maybe the podcast was in my mind, but we haven't found you yet, or something like that. Because I've been thinking about making this podcast for a long time now. It only became concrete when you were on board on joining us. So you made that possible, Gray.
I'm making things happen. What can I say? No, it's really awesome. They've been some really fun subjects, so I'm really happy that I can be a part of this.
I'm trying my best, and as I said in the past, we are making the team. It's us three for now. If a fourth member joins in, I will be glad to welcome that person. That could be great. But if we remain three, that's perfect the way it is. Because we still have like different point of view on a lot of stuff. I align a lot with DC, but I guess it's because we are closer in age. Maybe actually I'm right in the middle. Maybe that's one thing. But anyway, different times, different behavior, I guess. Anyway, I had a blast. This week was amazing. I liked that discussion a lot. I was glad Cole was able to stick around for a few minutes. I think it's next week we talk about depression. Am I right on that? I think it's next week.
I think so, but I have not looked in a minute. But that sounds right to me.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, I'm looking forward to that happy discussion on depression.
happy
Yeah.
discussion. Hell yeah! The main reason why I brought that is it's an issue a lot of people are dealing with, and I don't know the exact statistic. Maybe that could be something interesting to bring up, but a lot of people suffered from it. You probably know someone. Maybe you're one of them at some point.
Oh yeah. I've gone through my whole life, so yeah, very familiar with it. I think I'll have a lot to say.
That's the one mental illness. That's the one sickness a lot of people get that everyone knows about. And that's important to talk about that because not enough people do. So yeah, again, thank you a lot, Gray. You made stuff possible. I'm glad to have you on.
You give me too much credit.
I'm glad we met on Darn Kid channel. That was amazing. Anyway, with that being said, have a great day. Take care, and we will talk later.